Hey guys, welcome to an update video of Barely Default, my resource pack, where I have a bunch of named variants, and these are the named variants added in the most recent update. This is in the Happy Gas update, so this is all in vanilla, it all works. And since it's a new Minecraft update, I figured, I'll do a new pack version. So version 17 of Barely Default. What's new? First, a few from Lord of the Rings. I figured why not, fits the new vision of the pack. I guess I'm just gonna try to have all weapons. I don't know if that's true, that's probably a stretch. But popular weapon names, I just want to collect them. I did a video recently asking people, what do you name your items in Minecraft? You can still comment on that, or just comment below here, it doesn't really matter. And a lot of people just name their swords, just generic swords. Some people don't want renames. People just want a netherite sword that they're swinging around, and then they want that to be named their favorite sword, right? And that's sometimes that's not even, it doesn't have to be extravagant mythical swords. I mean, some of these are obviously, but this is for all those people who don't really want renames, who just want a sword with a cool name, and then you still get a rename because I've tried to, make the sword look like it does in the universe that the name is from. So Glamdring and Orkist, both swords of Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, and like I said, these could be considered kind of tame, but I also really like tame variants for the pack. Having infinite extravagant renames is really cool, but what if you don't even want an extravagant rename, right? Then the renames are just entirely not for you, or you can just pick a subtle sword difference, right? So I think that's really cool, just different sword designs. So yeah, Orkist, Glamdring. In Lord of the Rings, there's a pretty cool feature. They glow blue if they're near bad guys. I thought maybe I could work that in, but the only system that I could think of that I have available to me is time-dependent variants. I've done that example for the Moon Dagger, which is a weapon in Minecraft Dungeons, and it's a pretty small dagger, it doesn't really look significant, but then if we change the time to midnight, it'll turn white. It's pretty subtle, but it does turn a bit light. And I just thought maybe I could do something subtle like that for these. I haven't done it yet because I would think maybe there's something better that comes up. It would be cool if you could literally do it if mobs are nearby, right? But I don't think that's possible. So I guess let me know, should I just leave these swords until we get more features, right, to customize with, or should I just, maybe do the moon thing, when it's nighttime, mobs are out, so that kind of works. I don't want to use the feature too much or make it too obvious, right, because, clocks are still a thing, right? I still want clocks to be useful, right? I could turn every item into a clock, basically. I don't want to do that. So yeah, let me know what you think. Should I make these glow? This one probably glows as well. Undertale. They have some alternate names as well. I'll put them on the screen as these come up because I don't really know them off the top of my head, to be honest. But you can also name it Narsilk, since that's the same sword apparently. Pretty big blade, because all of these are kind of generic sword variants. I tried to start from scratch with all of these, so I didn't want them to have the same sword blade even. Every time you start fresh, I'm gonna play some pixels different, right? And I thought that was kind of nice. So again, even if you're not doing the names, you could still pick a different sword. Oh, this one is better shaded, right? I can basically have all the sword texture packs in one pack. That's what I'm doing. Every pack that adds a different sword texture, I can have that pack as well, right? Just by shading swords in different styles. I don't know if it's still all my style, I guess, but style develops, like I said, every time I start fresh, it's gonna end up looking different. It's better than me copy pasting it anyways, more iteration ultimately is better. Some Lord of the Rings swords sting as well, pretty simple. I mean, it looks really small, but this is literally the same size as a default sword, and I've made them bigger, actually. Mine is bigger because I thought they were so small, but yeah, default swords are really small in Minecraft. But if you don't mind that and you want to roleplay being a hobbit, go for Sting. Alright, we'll move on. You've already seen this one. I've been staring at it. Longclaw, also a very popular sword name. These are from Game of Thrones. Thought I'd throw them in there, right? It fits the theme of people just wanting a sword with a name. And then if you name it Longclaw, it'll actually look like Longclaw, if you agree with me that I textured Longclaw correctly. Winter is coming. I don't know. Have fun with this one. Then Ice, a huge claymore. I really like this one. I think it's really pretty. A pretty big sword. Even if you're not a fan of Game of Thrones, you could definitely use this. I'm happy to have this one. It has some golden details. Looks pretty regal. Ice, which later, I mean, obviously when I add something, I look into the lore a little bit. I haven't watched Game of Thrones, but apparently it gets broken down and smelted into two different swords. And I also have those. Oathkeeper and the Widow's Will. These actually do have the same blade, by the way, because they're kind of twin blades, right? So that kind of made sense for those. But I figured if people are gonna name them differently, then they might as well look differently, right? Even if it's a little bit. And then also I have Needle, which is another sword from Game of Thrones, which is pretty thin. It's kind of like a rapier sort of thing. If you're a fan of that character, you might really like this one. I kind of like how it looks when you're holding it. It's a different vibe from the other swords. Also the claymores kind of made you hold them at an angle, if you can see that, which I think really fits the claymore vibe. So bunch of swords from a bunch of universes. You may not expect to be canon to Minecraft, but maybe canonicy is kind of out of the window in this update. Okay, a random sword from Fire Emblem. I guess one I hadn't done yet. The King's Fang. It's pretty huge. Even the handle is massive. I don't know if I did this one correctly. Maybe I kind of poorly balanced this one, but I think it's nice to have variety either way. So it's a new sword, King's Fang. If you name it that, it turns into the legendary King Fang from Fire Emblem. Then I have some crossbow renames. The RPG and Nikita both from Solid Snake and the RPG. Well, I mean, you know, that happens, you know, in RPG. It's a real thing. But luckily, it's not real RPG. It's a Minecraft RPG. So if you load it up, you know, it's a crossbow. So it shoots arrows, which, you know, it's pretty fun. Steve's in Smash, so I think I should have all the Smash weapons in Minecraft as well. I think it's pretty reasonable, right? As if my pack is reasonable at all. But yeah, I want all the Smash Bros weapons. And also a lot of people name their ranged weapons RPG. You know, it's just funny, right? And a crossbow, it literally just does shoot rockets, right? You can load it up with firework rockets. So here it is, the Minecraft RPG in its full glory, loaded up with the firework rocket. I think that really brings out the RPG vibe. You could use this, but it would be pretty damaging. We'll move on to Nikita, also from Solid Snake. I made this one to work on the right hand mainly. You know, it's you guys' hand. You guys have it like this, and I am apparently weird, and I have it on the left hand, where it does kind of look weird because there's supposed to be a visor on that side, but it doesn't really matter because it just fires arrows. Anyways, it's more like a fancy crossbow, and for the Solid Snake fans, you know, this could be fun. Again, it's one you kind of want to load up with firework rockets, probably, right? That might be pretty immersive. So have fun with this one as well. Nikita and the RPG, not a real life reference. These are obviously from Smash Bros. Just a funny fighting game that Mojang themselves added Steve to, so it can't be that bad, right? That's what I think. Alright, yeah, here we go. Next up, Caliburn. I mean, I did this one before the announcement was made that there's a Sonic racing game that apparently Steve is a part of, which is crazy. But yes, Sonic is now super canon to Minecraft. But I made these coincidentally a little bit before, but if you didn't know, there's a racing game, Sonic racing game, and Steve is in it. Okay, it's crazy, but it's a thing. There's also a Sonic game called Sonic and the Black Knight. There's a sword he has called Caliburn. And there's another one that's called Excalibur, which is kind of the legendary one, but I already have an Excalibur in the pack. This is Final Fantasy's Excalibur, alright? So that's a bit of a problem, name-wise. Luckily, Caliburn, which is this one, kind of transforms into Excalibur. So what I could do is add enchantment-dependent variants. So basically what I have for this is if you max enchant a weapon, it's like another reward, right? If you reach the peak of your weapon, you get a visual upgrade, basically. I kind of figured peak for a weapon means damage. So it's either Smite 5, Sharpness 5, or Bane of Arthropods 5. And then if you put it on Caliburn, so you enchant Caliburn to the max, it becomes the legendary Excalibur. Oh, by the way, Caliburn also has like a little animation on it. It's supposed to be like a little face, which is also from the Sonic game. Look, there's a little guy in there. It talks. The sword talks. But then it becomes Excalibur, and it looks, you know, I mean, this is wild. It glows at night because I can do that. And I mean, this is not my thing, but this is literally what Sonic looks like with this big aura around his blade. Like, this is what they designed for him. And I mean, I gotta say, I think it looks pretty accurate. But yeah, if you're a big Sonic fan, you can smash this pretty legendary big aura weapon around. And there's also an evil counterpart in that game, Death Caliber, which looks like this. It looks pretty cool. I really like it. It's like a demonic blade. And in that game, there's also an upgraded version of that sword, which doesn't like get named, but you can see it definitely when you're fighting the final boss. I haven't played that game, but I do research into the universe, like I keep saying. So okay, we'll take Death Caliber, enchant it to the max with damage enchant, and then we get, look at this. It changes its look. I mean, it's a completely different sword, so if you really like this look, bummer for you. But this is the ultimate look for it. Death Caliber, you know, super chaos, KLC, you know, warped. I don't know, it fits, I guess. And, you know, it's canon. So there you go. Cool, dynamic sword renames that I could add that I think Sonic fans will really enjoy. Next up, I have the Beam Sword from Smash Bros. Just from Smash Bros. Itself. And what's going on here is it has enchantment-dependent variants as well. But instead of it being, when it's max enchanted, it just gets longer every time. And that is because the Beam Sword in Smash Bros. Does that too, right? I mean, it doesn't get enchanted, but the Beam Sword of Smash Bros. Gets longer the more damage it does. Which is like a quirk of the weapon, but I thought a fun way to incorporate that is by having the blade get longer the more you enchant it. You're gonna get catfished a bit, because I have a big document with all the renames, right? But I always put like the max enchanted version on the document. So you think you're getting this really long blade, and then you actually end up getting this tiny one. But if you stick to it, you will eventually, you know, get your beam sword to the max, and it's a massive blade. I think this will be a crowd favorite as well. The very different style from what I would normally do or have done, but that's good, you know. I just like having variety. I like having all sorts of different styles, and I also just like doing different things. You know, at some point designing all these, it's not that I get bored, but every time I want to make something, I kind of want to do it differently a little bit. And, you know, for the beam sword, I just figured this is what it kind of wanted, right? This is what the blade wanted to work in Minecraft, and I think it does work. Next up, we have the Sword Machine, which is a reference to Ultrakill, a game I haven't played, and I get Ultrakill weapon suggested a lot. Seems like a lot of my fans are into Ultrakill. Does that mean I should play it? Ultrakill, is that like a really good game? It's a sort of a guy called Sword Machine, which is a little robot, and I don't know, I guess I really like it because it really does match my lift fork trident rename. You know, it's kind of this industrial thing. So if you have like an industrial set going on, you got a sword and you got a trident right now. It's a Sword Machine. Why not? The pack has a Sword Machine now, and it looks pretty industrial. And then I also have Just Splendor and Splendid Justice. These are also from Ultrakill. They're meant to be dual wielded. These were suggested to me, but I don't know how you guys are gonna do this. Do you have a favorite? Do you have one that's your favorite that you're gonna wield, or are you gonna run around like this? That doesn't do anything. It would be cool to add sword blocking back. We might do it with the data pack. Comment below what you think, but obviously dual wielding is another thing. But I did add both swords. Obviously they have a bit wacky names, but I always include alternate names. And you can also just call these Justice, right? You don't have to call it Splendid Justice. Same for the other one, you can just call it Splendor, right? Splendor. And personally this triggers me because I always write in English for some reason. So you can also call it Splendor, right? I thought that name is like really generic. Maybe I'll find a different sword that's like super canon that I want to do. That's called Justice. And then the name is already taken. So for me, the main name that I'm going with is Just Splendor and Splendid Justice. And that's almost like a direct quote from the guy who wields those. So I think that works. You can also call him like the short name, but that name might change because it's a pretty generic name. Like I might need that name later. Next up, probably the longest name in the pack. I'm like typing it. I'm like, what's wrong with the name? And then, oh, it's Headman's with 2 N's. The Horseless Headless Horseman's Head Taker. Personally, I always thought it should be called the Horseless Headless Horsemanless Headless Maker. Maybe some, no, not that, but it's also horsemanless. And I always thought that was funny in a way that they could make it even longer. But anyways, it's a weapon from TF2, it's massive. Swing it around, it's a Netherite X rename. So we do a lot of swords, sometimes X's come into the play. Also the next one, the X Bass, it's from Adventure Time. This weapon has been suggested a lot, and you know, I finally added it, why not? And it was actually really fun to make, and I really like how it turned out. It is an X Bass, it's a big guitar that you can swing around like an axe. Apparently the jury is out on the colors, because some people are saying the edges should be red, but there's also panels in Adventure Time where the edges of the X are gray. So maybe Adventure Time is inconsistent. I thought it looked better as gray, so I made it look like this. Okay, the edges, like I'm talking about the sharp. It doesn't matter. Okay, this is what the X Bass looks like. I think it looks really cool. Another red axe. You can use this to really hurt people. Also this one, the dragon. Well, quickly look away from this one. This one's like begging for our attention. The Dragon Slayer is going to be a pretty popular rename. It's a straight blade. Look at that. Normally everything in the pack. Well, I mean, okay, I'm holding another straight blade. That's a bad example, but it's thin. So that's kind of like a different rule. But this one is full on a straight blade. The first... No, not that one. Well, this one's also kind of a straight blade. Okay, guys, this is the first straight... I'm holding like literally 2 different straight blades as I'm saying this. But this really, to me, feels like the first straight blade in the pack, okay? As opposed to this, right? Where all the pixels are at an angle and you always get like this rigid edge. The Dragon Slayer is straight. I feel like it had to be, right? And it's pretty massive. It's from Berserk, an anime that I haven't read or watched, or whatever you do to Berserk. But it'll be pretty popular, and it is a really badass sword, having looked into the lore a little bit. So you can slay some demons with this. Let me pop one out for you here. You want to see my new gas? I've updated the gas for people not using Optifine. Look at this. Isn't that's horrific? So you can slay demons with the Dragon Slayer, and I'll just do it. Look, check that out. Oh, that was pretty cool. Okay, so another rename in the pack. Speaking of slaying demons, okay, we'll get to that later. Another Netherite X rename in the pack, and it is Pochita, which is, someone who hasn't watched the anime or read the manga, whatever is going on with Chainsaw Man. This is wild. It looks really wild. It's like a little doggy that I got to model. I enjoyed that. You know, like, I don't know anything about anime, but I do enjoy this little character. I think he's pretty cute. The way I understand it, I don't think he's supposed to be cute. Maybe he's kind of like a bad guy, or like a really powerful guy at least. Isn't he a devil? That sounds pretty bad. I don't know if he's like a bad guy in the anime, but let me know, I guess. And yeah, it's a Netherite X, you can wield him. And so if you see someone swinging at you with a cute little dog, you watch the chainsaw, because it's, you know, it is a Netherite X. It's gonna wreck you. If you put an item frame, I oriented it like this, which I normally would never do, because that makes it kind of look weird if you put it on the wall, right? He's kind of like just chilling. Okay, so but you're gonna have to put this one like this, because then he can stand. Isn't that cute? And he kind of moves his legs sometimes. He's like animated. He sticks his tongue out, and then sometimes he puts it back in. You know, he's like all alive and he blinks. Actually, this goes really well with the mushroom guy shield that I have here. Check this out, mushroom guy. And I have a shield. This is a reference to Smash Bros as well. Like Peach's shield is Toad. If you're like a guy who wields an axe and a shield at the same time, you look like this. Look, you got Toad in front of you, and then you with this little dog. This might be the competitively best renames in the pack. Honestly, just these 2. You might not even need armor at this point, like if you're rocking this. Another rename for swords, it's the Nail, which has enchantment dependent variants again. The Nail itself is a reference to Hollow Knight, where the weapon also upgrades. So I thought it could be nice to match the upgrades in that game with the visuals in Minecraft. So yeah, you start off with a nail, it's pretty small, it's broken, and then it becomes whole. Then it gets this fancy pattern, and then it gets this fancy pattern, and then it finally turns into the pure, this chaotic nail when it's max enchanted with damage enchants. So, pretty cool rename. One I have for bows, so it's not just crossbows in this update. It is the Gaster Blaster, obviously the weapon from Sans that he uses. Charge it up like this, and then shoot your arrows, you know. I think it looks pretty cool, it looks pretty convincing. It's a pretty wild model. From some angles it looks kind of wild, because it is such a wild model. It's kind of like, I don't know, like paper cut together or something. And you can also hang it on your wall, so it's pretty cheap, just a string and some sticks, right? And you get a Gaster Blaster on your wall. It's pretty good, a good rename. I really like it. I think it's cool as a cannon like this, it really works. And I gathered that a lot of people were already naming their bow Gaster Blaster. So now there's just a rename for it. There is one more for crossbows. It's the Crusader's crossbow. Also references Team Fortress 2. Yeah, you just reload it, and then you shoot arrows with it. You can shoot healing arrows with this, right? So we got an arrow of healing here. I'm gonna load it up into my crossbow. I'm gonna shoot the gas, and it's not even gonna die. It's probably gonna heal it. See, he feels better now, probably. Moving on to some Fallout weapons. The Shish Kebab, a pretty classic Fallout weapon, I'd say. I took the design from Fallout 4. I really like it. It's also the Fallout that I played, and I love that game. It also has an enchantment upgrade. If you enchant it with fire aspect, any level of it, it's gonna have this glowing flame on it, which the Shish Kebab and Fallout also had. And then if you swing with it, it gets this bigger flame on it, right? So you kind of have this idea that you're like swinging with fire. I mean, I guess we'll see if it's super convincing, you know, because it only shows up for a little bit. I think it works. Generally, right? If you like in the dark, you see just the big orange flame pop up for a second as you're swinging your sword. I think it works. It's a little detail that I could add. Obviously, that's key by independent variants. So the Shish Kebab, that's only if you enchant it with fire aspect. So if you don't, I mean, it'll just look like a normal, like, I don't know, pretty industrial weird sword. But if you enchant it, it kind of comes together. So that's the rename. And another one for the crossbow, the Fat Man. Super iconic weapon from Fallout. Just load it up with arrows, and you know, you just got a rail that you shoot arrows with. And I think this already looks pretty powerful. Like, I would definitely use this. I think this looks pretty nice. Even if just for arrows, right? Look at that. Obviously, you could also load it up with a firework rocket. That's kind of gonna complete the vibe, right? Probably, because then it's like an actual explosive that you're shooting around. But I'm actually a pretty big fan of Fallout, and I wanted more from this because I love the Fat Man, and I added a custom look for it if enchanted with multi-shot, only if it's like loaded with a projectile. So we got a Fat Man here, enchanted with multi-shot, and we're gonna load a firework rocket into it. And I mean, you'd probably guess it. It's pretty simple. It's gonna have 3 rockets in there, and I just think that looks really mighty, and that also really just fits the Fat Man. There's also a Big Boy variant in Fallout 4, which is a Fat Man with an extra projectile, so that just kind of works for this one. Actually, Big Boy is also an alternative name for the Fat Man, so you can also just call it Big Boy. And it just loads up with 3 arrows or 3 rockets, and that's just really convincing, I think. I don't know why I'm shooting these happy gas. It's really sad. Not gonna lie, I'm not used to gas being friends. Okay. And then I added another variant for the Fat Man because I really like this model that I made, and you know, adding a recolored variant. That's just simple, honestly. You know, just a different texture, and I can reuse the model. So more bang for my buck. I like doing it. The variant is from Fallout New Vegas. In the game, it's just called Esther. I thought that was a bit too generic of a name, so I called it Fat Esther. So it's Fat Man and then also Fat Esther. It's basically a camo version of Fat Man. It has some blue elements, so it kind of looks fall techy. There's a blue and yellow elements, right? So that's fall techy. And otherwise, it's just the same model. So 2 variants. You got Fat Man and the Fat Esther. Pretty cool. Next up, some Doom weapons. Also a game I haven't played. I mean, I don't game at all. I just do this Minecraft stuff basically. But Doom is really cool, is it not? Like, after having looked into the lore of this game, it's pretty cool. So, okay, a netherite sword rename. Call it Crucible. You can make it nighttime. You can see that it glows. It's animated. And yeah, it's your evil sword for splitting guys in half, basically. Then I have the same name for netherite axes. So that same name works for swords and also for netherite axes. I show it off at night as well. It glows. It's pretty cool. Just a big old axe you can chop people to bits with. Then some crossbow variants. I have the Unmaker and the Unmaker. Alright, okay, so the Unmaker is from Doom Eternal, and it looks pretty advanced. It kind of looks like a crossbow, almost. My Minecraft version of the Unmaker from Doom. And as you can see, it comes in 2 colors, right? You have the Unmaker version, spelled like that, and then you also have the regular Unmaker version from the original Doom. Reload it, you know, you get an arrow, or you charge it up with firework rocket. You get it. This one looks really regal, and then this one looks properly evil, I think. Some worthy crossbow renames, as well as this one and this one. I mean, I really like crossbow renames. There's like a little bit of an imbalance between how many bow renames and crossbow renames I have, but I just think that, like, for stuff like this, like the BFG 9000, just fits a crossbow, right? Like the whole reloading of it, and then like it's able to shoot explosives. You can load it up with a green firework rocket. That's cool, right? It fits the BFG. This is it, the BFG 9000 from Doom in Minecraft. Loaded up with arrow. You can shoot bad guys with this. Look at this. There's some advanced reload animation. Boom. I mean, I really think this one's really cool. I keep shooting at these poor happy gas. Just really not used to you guys not being angry. A funny alternate name I wanted to point out for the BFG 9000 is BFC 9000, which is a reference to an April Fool's update where Mojang added crossbow variants you could find just in dungeon loot, which were named this, the BFC 9000. So that April Fool's joke is now canon in the back. But then Doom the Dark Ages came out and they added an actual BFC. So I have it as well. It looks pretty badass. A ballistic force crossbow. It's huge, especially in Minecraft terms. I really like it. Modeled my butt off for this. Let's load it up. I mean, it looks really heavy in my opinion. And then we have a big glowing arrow on it. And we're just gonna launch it at a bad guy. And boom. Here we go. I mean, we missed, which is probably good because there's still happy gas. But I'm in my Doomslayer vibe right now. I'm seeing these gas and I just can't control myself. I just must rip and tear. So Doom players will play it. I haven't even played it. I just get really immersed in the universe. But yeah, I really like these renames as well. Tried my hardest to make them work in Minecraft, and I mean that's just kind of what I do, I guess. Okay, so yeah, a lot of new renames from Doom, and also Star Wars. That's the next category. Probably the most popular weapon in all of fiction or non-fiction. No, like lightsabers are like referenced so much, tattooed so much, like parodied so much. Everybody loves a good lightsaber. Like all the planets in the universe had to like compete and like send their their coolest weapon that they had made in their culture, like to like a competition or something, kind of like that Rick and Morty episode, but then they have to sing. The weapon we would submit would probably be a lightsaber. No? I think in our culture, like lightsaber is probably like the peak for us. And I'm not even like a huge Star Wars fan. And then I added like a lot of in-depth lightsabers. But okay, it's just like an observation, right? I mean, feel free to challenge me. Tell me I'm wrong. We'll just start over at the beginning. I called Yoda's lightsaber the Saber Light because he kind of speaks with that inflection, doesn't he? He reverses words. So there's a lightsaber and then also the Saber Light. If you just name it lightsaber, it's Luke's lightsaber. Because isn't that like the most OG iconic Star Wars lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber? The most heroic, you know, like the, I don't know, the lightsaber. Maybe I'm wrong. If you just name it regular old lightsaber, it turned into Luke's lightsaber. This one, it's a bit longer than Yoda's lightsaber, but you know, I want one of them all. So you can pick which ones fit you best. And we got Mace Windu's lightsaber. I called it the BAMF-saber. It's the only purple lightsaber in Star Wars. BAMF, you know, I mean, if you know, you know, basically, right? That's what that boils down to. And apparently Samuel L. Jackson actually has BAMF engraved into the hilt. He has the hilt of the Star Wars purple lightsaber, apparently. And he has BAMF, B-A-M-F, engraved into it. So, you know, I thought BAMF-saber couldn't be a more perfect name. And also, I really just loved it. The purple lightsaber looks really cool, doesn't it? Like, that's a heckin' cool lightsaber right there. Are you noticing that all of these are at an angle? It's really triggering me, and I can easily fix it. I'm not gonna do it mid-video, but I just wanted to point out, I'm noticing it too, alright? I'll fix it, alright? But that's like, just wanted to point it out. You guys are right. It's definitely, like, I slightly messed up the orientation. I don't know how. It's like slightly, all of them are like slightly at an angle. Okay, we've mentioned it. We can move on to the Skysaber. Anakin's lightsaber, also very iconic. You know, it's seen a lot in the Clone Wars. So that's for the Anakin Skywalker fans. You know, the generic blue lightsaber, basically, the Skysaber. And I also have Obi-Wan's lightsaber, which I call the High Saber. I thought that was a perfect name because it kind of rhymes phonetically a little bit with like lightsaber, high saber, right? But then also, you know, Obi has the high ground, right? So I thought that was pretty clever. So even if you and your homie are both rocking blue lightsabers, you can still have different ones. And that's also something I just really appreciate about my own pack, right? Having all the variants. Even if they're like both blue lightsabers, you can still have different ones. I think just that's really valuable to me. Then we have the Darth saber, not super creative, right? It's kind of like Darksaber, but then Darth saber. And also Darth Vader, right? Actually, this is so dumb, but an alternate name that I included for this thing is like, this makes no sense. Okay, so this is Darth Saber, but you can also do, check this out, Light Vader. This is really dumb. Don't pay too much attention to that. Darth Vader's lightsaber, the most iconic dark side lightsaber you could get, and it's in the pack too. Or the Dancer's Darth Saber, and the name is a bit of a reference. I mean, obviously Darth Maul and Darth Vader, they're both Darth. That already throws a bit of a wrench into my whole system, I guess. But Dancer's Darth Saber, that's a nice opportunity to reference Minecraft Dungeons, right? Because there's a Dancer sword in Minecraft Dungeons. I have it in the pack too. It's just a double sword. I mean, it's pretty simple in Minecraft Dungeons. It's not even, it looks so small compared to all the new stuff that I'm doing now. Minecraft Dungeons really had small weapons. I don't know what that's about. Okay, yeah, Dancer sword, just a dual-bladed sword. So a dual-bladed lightsaber is a Dancer's lightsaber, right? So a Dancer's Darth Saber. Bit of backstory about this rename. Darth Maul's lightsaber. I really love this look. Also from the back, like just like seeing this big blade around me is just really cool. You can own noobs with this. Or get owned yourself, because Darth Maul, you know, ultimately he did get owned. But it's in the pack too. This will be really popular as well, especially once I fix it so it's straight, because this is making me kind of angry. Next up, we have Kylo Ren's lightsaber, which I call the Edge Saber. What else to call it? Because he is such an edgy guy. And then I made this really cool lightsaber, but I feel like I almost don't want to walk around referencing Kylo Ren unless I like sprinkle a little bit of irony in there. So that's why Edge Saber is a good name. You know, you're referencing how edgy he is, and then it might also reference the edge. You know, it has like the extra edges to it. Maybe we should address the elephant in the room, the cool animation that I made for it. I spent so much time on this. It's one of my favorite renames. Whenever I see this, I hear like the crackling of Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Kylo Ren's lightsaber, honestly, I had quite an arc. I say that I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I could also talk about Star Wars for a while probably. But when I first saw it, I thought it was so silly. Like it looks like training wheels, right? Like a training wheel lightsaber, like he needs like extra protection. But now that it's grown on me, Kylo Ren's lightsaber is really cool. Like it has like this roar to like this crisp to it, because it's like, I don't know, it just signifies evil and instability. It's really cool. And then I don't know, I just really pulled off the model, I guess. Like I really love this variant that I made. So Kylo Ren's lightsaber, here it is, one of my favorites, completely different from the other ones. Wild animation too, but I'm really happy with this one. The Edge Saber, please enjoy. Next up, the Quarterstaff, which is Rey's lightsaber. She's a yellow lightsaber, which is pretty unique. Not many characters have a yellow lightsaber, so I really wanted to include it. Quarterstaff, thought the name works because her staff is barely called a quarterstaff. It's a bit lame, but fine. The other option that I had was calling it a Lightsaber, and I was really gonna hate myself if I called it Lightsaber. If I had no better options, if I couldn't come up with anything else, I would have been really mad at myself. So I'm glad it's not Lightsaber, it's Quarterstaff. You know, that works, and it's pretty cool. All right, because it's also made from her quarterstaff, isn't it? It's made from her staff. right? So, you know, pretty clever. Okay, next one, the Darksaber. I mean, I've had this one in the pack for a while. I've just updated it a little bit, give it like a thicker blade, like the other lightsabers. Is the Darksaber even a lightsaber? I don't know. When I made this one, I also had a different vision, I guess, for the handle. This one has like the rigid edges for the handle, and the other lightsabers obviously don't, which works really well for lightsabers. I thought it was just important, them being so iconic, to get them right, even if it means bending the art style. Like, I really like the rigid edges. That's like my style, basically, right? That's like my consistent thing that I do, is all the swords are like at an angle, except for the Dragon Slayer, and I guess a few more that I happen to also be wielding. So maybe I'm not like super autistic about it, but anyways, this was like quite a decision for me, right? Like, to change it up. Like, I want these straight handles, because it really represents lightsabers. So I might have to update the Darksaber. For now, I thought it was kind of fun to have different designs, right? So you have more options, but maybe it doesn't do the Darksaber justice, so I guess let me know. Then I have the Bright Saber, which is a pretty lame name, but okay, they literally called theirs the Darksaber. That's a canon Star Wars name, the only lightsaber that has a name anyways. Ahsoka Tano's lightsaber, one of them anyways. I picked the biggest one, because it's pretty cool. You can also dual wield them, but that doesn't do anything in Minecraft right now. Yeah, if you want a white lightsaber, this is yours, right? Another option you can have. And I have one more, which is a little bit of my own creation. It's called the Kaleido-saber. Dumb name, but I've kind of gotten used to it now, because it's like lightsaber, but kaleidoscope, Kaleido-saber. Anyways, as you can see, it's a lightsaber that changes color. The handle was kind of inspired by like a Lego lightsaber handle, if you can see that at all. I thought that was like a fun kind of like canon lightsaber to include as well, kind of cheekily. The Kaleido-saber, basically it changes colors, and maybe it's time that we change it to nighttime now for the lightsabers, because that obviously also really makes them pop. So just as you're walking around, it changes to all the colors of the rainbow, which is just cool. I just wanted to do it because I thought it was peak, like an RGB lightsaber. I know it doesn't have it in Star Wars, but that's just like, that's really cool. If I didn't do it, that would be a waste of even doing lightsabers, to be honest. If you're not doing a rainbow lightsaber, I did add an alternate name for this one. I don't know if you guys are going to be proud of me for this one, but it's Lightgayber. Rainbow, get it? Lightgayber. That's somehow, for me, that's better than Lightsaber. I can live with Lightgayber. I think that's even kind of clever. So there's some alternate names for this thing, and yeah, that's it. That's the lightsabers. If there's any really crucial ones that I'm missing, let me know. Please also let me know what your favorite is. You know what mine is. It's definitely this one, the Edge Saber, and then it's the Kaleido-saber. It's also really cool. Or Lightgayber. I don't even care. Like, both of these are my favorite. These two are peak. S-tier lightsabers in the pack. These chests are just to reference my Green Lantern rings that I guess I've also done. I would say that's still part of this update cycle, right? But I have a separate video on those. Like, basically, there's Green Lantern rings for all the colors. If you rename a crossbow to Green Lantern ring, right, you right click it and a weapon appears from which you can shoot arrows, you know. So that's the whole shebang. Kind of its own thing, also part of this update. But I gave it its own video because it really needed it. It's a huge feature. And then I also have the food update of my pack, where every food can be renamed to be placed down in an item frame, and then that little plate will just kind of like neatly sit over the item frame, so the food looks plated. That's also its own video, so go check that one out. And yeah, thanks for watching. That was quite a ROM. Went over a lot. I hope you guys are excited. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends about the pack and about the channel, and enjoy. Have a nice day. I've been Mickey Joe, and I make the Barely Default resource pack, but you know that. You just watch the whole video. I don't know. It's a good video. We did it. All right. Bye, guys.